Hi, this is Mark Pizzacalla, and welcome to What You Need to Know with Dr. Mark for Legalwise. Look, what I want to talk about today is family law, and I want to talk about the financial implications side of things. Now, hopefully you're never in this situation, but if you're in the middle of a divorce, I've got some really important observations to make. You see, what you are entitled to as part of a divorce proceeding is a function of two things. One, the net worth of the family at that time, and secondly, your percentage of the net worth of the family at that time. And when I say at that time, I mean at that time of negotiation. So it's really important, therefore, to have an accountant that understands the distinction and the interaction between family law principles, tax concessions, accounting, what a balance sheet should look like. These are all fundamental if you're trying to make an assessment of what should be included or excluded from a family's net worth. Quite often, it's a good idea to have an independent accountant because they're not emotional and they can be objective and provide you with some objective advice along the way. Because what you need to do is you need to establish the gross assets of the family group and also the gross liabilities attached to those assets. You need to make sure that you understand those two critical components, because it's only when you understand that you have everything that you need to see and have in place that you can then make some important decisions. Hard to make those if you don't have the full picture in front of you, and of course that's half the challenge. I want to talk about some of those challenges. On the assets side of things, the biggest challenge is sometimes finding assets. And of course, when two spouses know that they are separating, it's funny what happens. Assets do go missing, in particular cash, because it's the easiest thing to move. But of course, it's not that hard to find, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist, but sometimes it can be difficult. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when you can identify assets, it's important to get a market valuation, and that could be in relation to the business of one of the spouses. It could be in relation to property. It could be in relation to motor vehicles. On the liabilities side of things, the interesting thing that in that equation is that sometimes all of a sudden loan agreements appear between one of the spouses and family members trying to increase the liabilities of the group, or one of the spouses and other relatives and friends, etc. So it's quite interesting what gets produced as part of this process. There's a bit of a wind going on here, so probably see the shift. So what's a loan? What's a gift? If it's a gift, it goes into the pool of assets. If it's a loan, it might need to reduce the pool. But the important thing is the veracity of all those things. Last thing on the liability side is tax. So, with tax, which assets does it relate to? What's the quantum of the tax? And is it relevant to the proceedings? Because a tax liability isn't always relevant to the proceedings. It's really important to know when it's relevant and when it's not. So look, these things happen, and if they're happening to you right now, I'm really sorry to hear that, but certainly if you do need someone to speak to, please give me a call. It's not always planned. Sometimes it's voluntary, sometimes it's involuntary, but it's really important to get quality advice to just make sure that you've got the full picture in front of you before you make those vital decisions in the negotiation process. And of course, really important to avoid the court system if you can, because it does get very expensive. Speak soon, Mark Pizzacalla. Speak soon.